Integrated systems pedagogy, not adding, but integrating system thinking into the educational curriculum. So let's start with the practical problem. The practical problem is that, of course, system thinking is extremely important, most of us think, but we believe that some initiatives like the Research Excellence Framework stimulate fragmentation and reductionism rather than collaboration and holism. So the question is, what to do then? Well, one answer is, of course, that we should demand more teaching of courses on systems thinking, which makes sense, but that is not always feasible, always possible. So what we suggest in this paper is perhaps systems thinking could be implicitly taught by having it integrated into all sorts of curriculums and teaching methods. And one way of starting, but that is to look at the textbooks. What kind of textbooks can be used for teaching system thinking in business school? Now, many topics that are being taught, like information systems, quality management, process improvement, things like that, are systems thinking in are systems topics. But the problem is that many of these books that we are looking at are rather reductionist in their approach, and although one could go in the other extreme and find some to look at some more philosophical works like the one on the right side, we also experience that this so-called spiritual system thinking tends to be too philosophical, although they may include themes like information technology and business processes and quality management. It's still too impractical and very difficult to understand. So what we hope for, what we believe is the best approach, is a combination of those two things. What we see in the middle here is a combination of both philosophical and practical. And this particular example makes use of soft systems thinking, but not only that. In my opinion, my experience, I think this book is also very, very good when it comes to critical systems thinking, which is the approach we have been following. And so if you look at the system pedagogy for classroom teaching and on-the-job training, so critical system thinking, rather than seeing knowledge as a commodity, it should be seen as liberation. The truth shall set you free. And what we mean by that is that knowledge is not only something that is created and then packaged and delivered onto the market, but on the contrary, we are interested in something it's being seeded within the heads of the students and then allowed to grow. And as Paolo Freire talks about, it grows through discussions, experience, and reflection. So it's and that fits with the sort of constructivist approach that we are constructing knowledge within the hands of the students, and we believe that constructivism is also very nicely represented by van Frassen in his philosophy of science. And when it comes to the practical teaching of this, in this way, we rely on the lean teaching of Emiliani, which is also a systems approach, pedagogical flow through student orientation and small steps of iterative learning. Integrated systems pedagogy, ISP, in the way we use it, is based on a constructivist epistemology. It's lean teaching methods and focus areas for teachings, system thinking based on 5 areas: the dynamics of complexity, connectivity, redundancy of tools, sustainability, and challenge decisions. The final one being, of course, perhaps more relevant in the case of critical systems thinking than other types of systems thinking, but nevertheless, we believe that it's important for all types of systems thinking. Our hypothesis: system thinking can be taught with greater impact when integrated into curriculum. If you look at the picture, ISP can be seen as educational action research using system thinking for teaching topics like TQM. It starts at the base, where philosophy, teaching, and research are separated and moves up towards the apex, where the three strands become three aspects of the same phenomenon. And we use, in the classroom, we use educational action research based on a method called critical systems intervention, which is really just this plan, do, check, act cycle from total quality management, although we do it in this particular way, integrated with Bader-Morgan matrix, making sure that each of those four steps of the plan, do, check, act are done within the context of the of individual quadrants of the matrix. So as seen here. And also we build on Morgan's use of organizational metaphors. Specifically, we focus on the game metaphor or the game model. So here we have in action, we use this, in this particular case, we have used the car chase, the car game called Superbug from 1977 in order to illustrate the conflict between reductionist thinking and systemic thinking. Reductionist in the way that reductionist in the way of the driver of a car can only see so far, so you don't really know what will happen around the next corner, and then tends to crash into the guardrails and things like that. So if so, it illustrates this rather narrow perspective, which should be challenged with a more holistic approach, and that is what we ask at the second step: act radical humanism. Are willing people to break out of their false consciousness, and if the students and the teachers agree on this, then we can go into the plan, do, check, act. The first step of plan, interpretivism. Then we develop a strategy for restructuring the game using, in our experience, we have used this appreciative inquiry method, which we find very interesting and useful for making the strategy, for just thinking about it. When it comes to the actual development of the lectures and the presentations, the evaluations and so on, we do that in a different mode. We're going to do the functionalism using the Vanguard or Lean method for redesigning lectures and classroom and environment. And then at the next step, check, radical structuralism, we are interested in not only did the students understand, get the curriculum in itself, but also did we manage to teach some of the systems thinking. And at the final stage, act and have this reflection, radical humanism. Are we still playing this game, or has it improved? Well, in our case, this particular case, there were improvements in 2023, but we also made a second round in 2024, and we are now planning a third cycle 2025. And this is how we integrated the systems thinking ideas, the five aspect that we focused on into this in teaching total quality management. Dynamics of complexity, connectivity, how everything is connected, redundancy of tools, sustainability, and challenge decisions, which was a rather important aspect in this particular case. ISP impact on students, although there were both written and oral indication of improved systemic understanding of TQM of the lectures. In 2023, only 1 out of the 30 students, 3%, decided to use TQM as a topic for the final essay. In 2024, however, after we improved ISP further, 3 out of 12 students, 35%, read about TQM. Conclusion. Initiatives like the Research Excellence Framework, REF, may stimulate fragmentation and reductionism, but thus far we have experienced ISP as successful in integrating research interest with system thinking and educational action. ISP comes with a higher cost than traditional systems pedagogy, but it is designed to be integratable with REF-driven research interests, make curriculum more accessible, and have a stronger long-term impact on students. Thank you.